It's that time of year where everyone is going to take a tall glass of edge every night. We're arguing about what is better, werewolves or vampires is a normal conversation. Where kids get to dress up in fun costumes and get some candy. Where adults get to dress up in fun costumes and get some candy. You know the ones. Which means that this is the time where reviewers like myself get a chance to talk about some spooky related content. Whether it's cartoon specials related to the topic or TV shows that focus on more of the monster aspect of animated series. For me though, I'll be going with a more science fantasy approach. Happy Halloween everyone! My name is Jason Blade, and this is my perspective of the Secret Saturdays. Monsters, man. The topic on its own gives a lot of creative opportunities for any kid with an imagination. Whether it's cute or ugly, big or small, can swim or fly, the concept of what is considered a monster is limitless. So when animators get a shot on creating a mystical creature from scratch, there are thousands of ideas that can pop into their head that can make any viewer become mystified by the final product. Secret Saturdays, in my opinion, is one of those diamonds hidden in an entire bucket of diamonds around the mid-late 2000s. Secret Saturdays aired on Cartoon Network from October 2008 to January 2010. It's about a young boy named Zack Saturday who helps cryptids in need to return to their natural habitat, along with his family of cryptozoologists. Try to say that 5 times fast. What's special about Zack is his mysterious power to be able to control cryptids, which is something he uses to aid them. However, those powers are believed to be somehow linked with Kerr, the most dangerous cryptid that can form an entire army to destroy mankind. It is up to the Saturdays to prevent the power of Kerr to be revealed and be used by the ones who would cause harm. The overall storyline structure is a tale of 2 halves in all honesty, with the show having only 2 seasons. The first season has a bit of a mix between being episodic and storyline driven. What I like about this structure is that it doesn't punish you heavily in case you missed the episode prior to the one you're watching. While it's not that big of an issue now, considering we have countless of streaming services to our disposal, it definitely was a decade ago considering that the internet was not as important as it is now. The structure also gives us the time to recognize and learn about the cryptids featured in a specific episode, which is what I believe is the charm of the show. While for the second season, it's only focused on the storyline. How the second season was structured is similar to how the first season of Final Space was structured, which you should watch by the way. If you want to hear more about it, I have a video that's more fleshed out already uploaded. With having only 10 episodes, they focus more of the development of the plots, the characters, and the relationships between them. This structure would be more preferred in today's animation than back in 2009. With the idea of filler not being welcomed as much anymore, and how many prefer seeing the relationship with the characters develop more to have a sense of relatability to them. That season was certainly ahead of its time with what we know now as the norm. Still, the importance of the cryptids themselves really took the back seat in Season 2. Which was a shame considering that they were the most interesting, especially when we start talking about the design. The designs overall are pretty interesting. I believe the design takes the opposite approach of what Class of 3000 has done with their characters. Having much more sharper edges to many of the designs, they also use more darker and more realistic colors for the settings. What stands out to me the most is how unique the designs of each respective cryptid has. The attention to detail really blows my mind. The information they give out of the cryptids that's being focused on was very specific, and the way they display the information doesn't seem cheesy unlike some other shows. The show also has a bit of 3D animation sprinkled around, mostly during the scenes focused on the airship. The 3D animation was pretty decent to see, and it aged pretty well. There weren't a lot of scenes where it seemed very distracting and does enough to keep the scene along. Many of the action scenes played out very well. The shots and the angles really was the bright spot in the action scenes. The only problem that I have are the quick flashes they use every time that person hits their opponent. While understanding that this may have to deal with the rating giving to them, however, the excessive amounts of the flashes really can be a hassle on the eyes sometimes. The That crack though! The interaction of the characters is another bright point for the show. They are certainly a lot livelier and more relatable than a lot of shows that came out around this time. The relationship between Doc and Drew Saturday are perfect examples of how to portray parents interacting right. They steal the show almost every time when they're together, and it makes me smile and chuckle every time.
Wait, I'm not gonna be the one doing the fake crash.
It only works if it's the Griffin.
I'm an ace pilot. I've got a reputation to protect.
Well, then maybe next time you should let me win at rock, paper, scissors.
Maybe next time you shouldn't pick rocks every time.
The cryptids that are a part of the family are just as lively as well, especially Fiskerton. Fiskerton is quite easily the favorite for me because of how well of a partner he is for Zack. Even though he doesn't say actual words, the way he gestures and how he separated the sounds as syllables to make it to where I can understand what he's saying. For the most part anyways. Zack's development is also very well executed. With the time frame of the show being around a year, Zack's growth from being an overconfident and immature child to one being more aware of the consequences of his actions and understanding the cryptids he helped really elevates the show's relatability. The villains are okay. A lot of them are a bit one-dimensional, and many of them we see return only once or twice at most. Even the main villain, Vivi Argos, doesn't have a lot going for him as a developed character. He just does his job as being a villain, and that's it. There isn't a lot of reasons why he wants to take over the world with cryptids. Even with what we learned about who he is in Season 2, it doesn't really give us much to understand his motives. Which is not really good considering the whole villain celebrity trope he has going on. The soundtrack is easily the most memorable out there. As you heard from the beginning of the video, the soundtrack is packed with action. It gives the sense of being a secret agent. Considering the amount of action that comes into play, the soundtrack has to match that intensity in a lot of scenes, and they do it wonderfully. The choice they went for is most certainly unique for me. I never expected themes that you expect to focus on spies and agents to work so well for a show focused on secret scientists. It gets me incredibly pumped. Overall, I totally recommend this show if you love a heavy action-based show with great character development on the hero side of things. The overall design is very natural yet unique with a slightly darker tone to it. However, the development for the villains are pretty weak and they don't bring enough interest for me to really care on what they do. Still, I enjoyed my time watching it, and it's definitely an underappreciated gem in my opinion. Thanks for taking the time to see this review. If you would like to see more, click the subscribe and the bell icon to get the latest from me. If you have seen this show and would like to put your take on it, you can do so in the comments section below. Until then, get dressed up, meet up with some friends, and have a good fright.